Did the Trudeau government actually stop funding for terror organization? Well, that's the question that many are still asking. Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Warren, I am going to come to you first because, of course, I'm referring to UNRWA, UNRWA, which has been funding terror, part of a terror network, and now has many of their members were allegedly involved in the terrorist attack on October 7th against Israel. So Trudeau reacted and he said, we're going to pause funding. But did they actually?
No, they didn't. By the looks of it, where our understanding is we need to dive into this. But Ahmed Hussein looks like he shoveled money out the door to UNRWA before the decision was made, not just by Canada, but by other countries in the world to temporarily pause funding. But I mean, Adrienne and Brian, like this is a big issue. And it's not just on the UNRWA side. Like here in Canada, our newspaper has reported on organizations at the local level receiving money from government or governmental bodies. And that money is going to people to protest against Israel. The Plenty Collective and Belfry Theater in Victoria had to give back thousands of dollars after we revealed that they were involved in anti-Israel protests. They had to give it back to a group called the Victoria Foundation. So this stuff is happening everywhere. And I talked to an expert in Tel Aviv this week for our paper, and she said Canada has got a big problem from UNRWA right down to the local level. We need to dig into it. And she said, you guys need to find out where your tax dollars are going, because in some cases it's going to some really bad people.
Brian, you and I, of course, just recently returned from Israel, and it didn't matter who we talked to, left, right, center on the political spectrum, was supportive of the Israeli government or not. The consistency from every person we spoke to was that UNRWA needs to be defunded. UNRWA needs to be dismantled. UNRWA is a central and focal point to so many of the issues and the hate that is being taught, being perpetuated in the region.
And we've got a column from one of the people that we met while there, Dr. Annette Wilf, who wrote the book. She started out as a labor member of the Knesset. She was part of the Ehud Barak and Yitzhak Rabin peace movement in the 90s. And now, she still wants peace, but says you cannot have peace with UNRWA stoking the flames of hatred, assisting with Hamas at every turn. And the word that we got time and again is UNRWA is Hamas, Hamas is UNRWA, and you can't separate them. That is a major problem. And so, the Trudeau government, as Warren said, shoveled money out the door and then said, we're pausing funding. And then they said, and we've got $40 million more. Now, the biggest chunk is going to the World Food Program, which the people I'm talking to say, yeah, it's still legit. It's still working well. But another chunk is going to the International Committee of the Red Cross, which is a hugely problematic organization in Gaza. Why? Because they won't go visit the hostages. They are as corrupt in that region as UNRWA is. And, as Warren said, we've got to be looking at where our tax money's going. We can't just say, well, UNRWA, that's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. They've got to be good. No, this is a horrible organization that shows just how bad the rot is at the UN. And it's been detailed before. The Harper government got rid of the funding to UNRWA. Trudeau brought it back saying, oh, we have assurances of oversight. No, you don't. That has been proven by the 12 people that took part in the terror attacks, the 1,200 who are members, active members of Hamas who are in there, the 3,000 UNRWA teachers celebrating openly the terrorist attacks on a Telegram channel. All of this has been well documented. The terror tunnels under the schools and health facilities, the munitions found there. This is not an organization that can be part of the future going forward once the war is over.
Warren, UNRWA, because they have the UN in front of their name, it somehow gives them some semblance of a shield, or even is supposed to lend credibility to them. But I think over the course of Prime Minister Harper was very forward looking when it came to pulling their funding. Trudeau, of course, reinstituted it immediately because they said, well, this is all for charity and for aid and to help those that are displaced in the region. That's actually not the case, not even close to what we now know. So I'm wondering, from a Canadian's perspective, we do have a problem with where our tax dollars are going. But does this government, the Liberal government, who we know has the moral authority on nothing, they don't do the right thing ever, is there a way that if the next government comes in, we can claw that money back, unwind this whole thing?
No, the money is gone. And, I should say at the outset, like, I'm one of those people that believes we do need an international body. Before the United Nations, so many years ago, was the League of Nations, was ineffective. So there was decision made in 1945 that we needed to have a body to prevent another world war from taking place. So on paper, it made sense. And on paper, the UN Charter talks about the mission number one of the United Nations was to keep the peace and prevent aggression. Prevent aggression. Last week, we found out that the United Nations agency had employees, at least 12, but I think now the belief is there was many more, who were active participants in the massacre of October 7th. They participated in the killings and the torture and potentially the rapes and certainly the kidnapping of the 200 odd hostages from Israel. A United Nations agency did that. That's why all those nations around the world, including Canada, paused or stopped their funding of UNRWA. How we get back to, and I say this as somebody who supported the notion of the United Nations, how do we get back to a position where we can trust this United Nations ever again? I don't know how we do that. These people participated in mass murder. Like, forget about all the complaints we've had about, ideologically the United Nations and the dumb things and the dumb reports they produce. This is the most serious charge you can make. How can a future government, I presume under Poilievre, can embrace the United Nations? I don't know. I don't think we can do that. I really don't.
Probably the most significant blow to the credibility of the United Nations. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share this video and go to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. You can also visit the TorontoSun.com. You're going to see coverage and commentary from Warren and Brian you will not find anywhere else.